The complex history of black nationalist movements in Africa. Black nationalist movements in Africa emerged in response to centuries of colonialism, slavery, and systemic oppression, advocating for the political, social, and economic empowerment of black people. While the majority of these movements focused on fighting colonial rule and racial inequality, some have been accused of promoting radical and, in rare cases, violent rhetoric toward white people, particularly in the context of countries like South Africa. One of the most prominent African nationalist movements was the African National Congress ANC, which led the struggle against apartheid in South Africa. While the ANC's focus was on racial equality and freedom for black South Africans, factions within the movement, such as Umkhonto we Sizwe, used armed resistance. However, the ANC itself never focused on promoting violence against white people, instead aiming to dismantle the system of apartheid. The Pan-African Congress PAC, founded in 1959, took a more radical approach, advocating for complete African control over land and resources. Its focus was on anti-colonialism and black empowerment, but it was not explicitly violent toward white people. Similarly, organizations like the Azanian People's Organization, AZAPO, continued to champion black South African liberation, prioritizing black nationalism and economic self-determination. In modern-day South Africa, the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, led by Julius Malema, has been associated with more controversial rhetoric. The EFF's Marxist-Leninist ideology and the inflammatory language used by Malema have occasionally led to accusations of anti-white sentiment. However, the EFF is ultimately a political party focused on challenging economic inequality, not explicitly advocating for violence. While some black nationalist movements have used radical rhetoric, their primary focus has historically been to address racial oppression and inequality, rather than incite violence toward any racial group. The narratives surrounding these movements are complex, shaped by the need to overcome colonial legacies and attain justice.